Good evening, it's Gray Matter. Hopefully this shit is working. Let me check my fucking OBS real fast. Make sure my mic is working. Make sure my recording is working. This is some straight bullshit. I waited and I waited and I wanted to see what was going to happen. We already had the fucking overreach with the damn businesses. I forgot what that shit was called, but the Supreme Court struck that shit down. Thank God. But now we're having this enforcement of the real IDs. And of course, like sheep, everybody's in line trying to get the shit. Now, you can be looking at me like, well, it's required, all this shit. I don't give a fuck, bro. They can tell me it's required, but I know by law what they're doing is bullshit. I'm about to explain it to you. Especially after going through the 4th Amendment, reading the Bill of Rights, and then reading the 14th Amendment. Section 1, 8.13.2. If I even said that shit right. But here it is, right? Talking about the doctrine of the right to travel, interstate travel as a fundamental right. When we discuss rights and liberties, the term is synonymous with each other. Okay? You're not allowed to license a right or require identification for a right, because all the identification is a license. A license is permission granted by an authority. What are the IDs being used for? No identification, you don't have permission to use said services. That's what that shit is. Let's just be blunt. You can make that argument. And even if you want to make the argument that that's not the case, it's still overreach. Point blank and simple. Because interstate travel is a fundamental right. Why are they enforcing these new IDs if what I have, which is required in order to get the current ID that I have, I had to not only have my social security, but I also was required to have my birth certificate. Both of those being proof of citizenship, just to even get the ID that I have. But that ID is not good enough to fly a plane. We have to go through with this new ID, this real ID, quote unquote. And for what? The shit clearly, if you go back into the history of it, it clearly came about during the Bush administration via the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is literally just the not even right, because the government doesn't have a right to do this shit, but it's legislation that allows them to spy on you. You already got your phones watching you. You already got your computers watching you. You already got everything watching you. Everybody is just poking every fucking orifice that they could possibly poke. They're doing this shit because they can. That's essentially what it is. It's not to fight terrorism. It's not to deal with sex trafficking, etc. Because the real sex traffickers are in your fucking office. They're in the government. So they're not going to go looking to catch themselves. They just want to spy on you and enforce laws and rules on you that do not apply to them. That's essentially what the Patriot Act is for. Especially when you can get into the whole 9/11 being an inside job, whether you want to believe that shit or not. After Doge came about and proving that we were using taxpayer dollars to fund Al-Qaeda, at this point, I believe 9/11 was an inside job. Just straight up. So now we're required to have permission to fly interstate via an ID. And instead of people challenging this shit, you're all lining up in droves in fear to get this ID. You're not questioning how is it that the identification I already have not good enough. You're not even asking that fucking question. You're just trying to force this shit down people's throat. I'm good. And no, I didn't get the damn card. Fuck that shit. I already have a passport anyway. But even if I didn't have a passport, I'm not getting this shit. period. It rubs me the wrong way. You ever like get a gut feeling about some shit? That's this. Whether you want to agree with me or not, I'm not getting the shit. I advise you don't either. Shit like this is what American citizens should be ganging up to rebel against, instead of lining up to get. And then I was disappointed watching Anton Daniels tell people that to get their shit. Like, bro, you're promoting this Patriot Act bullshit. And I left the comment. I will share that video so you can see my comment and see what he was talking about. But anyway, while I was looking up constitutional law, different articles, etc., I found this. So, Republican Anna Paulina Luna, that's her full name, Anna Paulina Luna, introduces legislation to fully repeal the Patriot Act. I'm really praying that this goes through. Straight up. This was 5 hours ago. If we repeal the Patriot Act, this real ID shit and all this spying on you, it's gone. That's it. Ironically, the Constitution speaks on right to privacy, you know, unlawful searches. Them listening in on you on your mics and shit, that's an unlawful search. But no one's talking about that. The Constitution should have been law enough to where these individuals shouldn't be able to even do what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway, violating your rights as a citizen. It is what it is. Now we got to introduce new legislation that already should have been backed up by the Constitution anyway, just to repeal legislation that was illegal in the first place. This is where we're at in America right now. If I didn't articulate myself properly, I apologize. I'm pissed off and I just need to quit and make this fucking video. You go ahead and say what you want to say. Peace.